coming in that was in the Army and been through stuff.
Straight. Well, this piece I'm working on right now is of the night patrols. Nights here are nothing like they were in country. I mean, that jungle night is pure ink. I mean, sometimes there's a moon and you can make out the outlines of trees, but most nights there's no light at all. And I just see our buddies swimming into that inky dark. And the courage those boys have. Well, what do you think of it? It's all right. Well, I'm on a tight deadline with this one and it needs some more work, but it's going to be important. I can feel it. Well, I studied art in college. That's where I met my wife, Gracie. Is she something? And we got married right before I joined up. Now, well, they say that if you get married, you can avoid the service, but I didn't want to do that. I figured I needed to do what I needed to do. And if my country called, I'd do my duty. Of course, when you know it, the only thing in my mailbox when I got back from my honeymoon was my draft notice. And I didn't have any idea what to take with me. I thought for sure everyone was going to be a better artist than me, but yeah, the team came together real well. And before they established teams, those combat artists were on their own. I mean, I'm not sure how they got by. I depend on our team. You can't find a better bunch of guys. So we went. We went, paintbrush in one hand, helmet in the other. We traveled all over, sketching everything from the markets in Saigon, tall grass in the jungle, and combat assaults in Ankei, the people, the children, and the landscapes they shared. And we tried to capture on paper the pain and joy and the hope that survives when sometimes nothing else does. Yeah. I bet your readers want to know if I saw any combat. Well, I saw a lot, but I was lucky. I didn't have to fight in Vietnam. Well, don't get me wrong, if I had to, I would have. I carried my weapon with pride. I'm just glad I didn't have to use it. See, I was trained as an Army medic at Fort Sam. That's where I first heard about the combat artist program, and I thought, well, what the hell? Pardon me, man. I thought that making art was the best way I could think of to serve my country. And I'm glad my country saw it that way as well. And when I think about all the guys that have done this work, I mean, not just our team, but the soldiers that painted World War I and World War II, I mean, I can't help but feel connected to the history of this program, to this band of artists. Well, some days I'll come in early. I'll just spend an afternoon going over all these sketches I did in the field. And I can feel all that emotion coming off the paper. I mean, the power and immediacy of a sketch is what inspires the painting. Or sometimes just sparks a memory. Like this one. Yeah. All right. It was right before these choppers came through. It was just an average hot as heck afternoon. There was a young private doing his best Otis Redding over near the mess tent, and some guys were grabbing a smoke somewhere behind me. I'm leaning on a post, sketching, when these shots ring out. So I dive over my buddy, I get against the hooch, the wall of the tent, and I'm thinking to myself, well, this pencil ain't gonna make a very good weapon, you know, in this kind of situation. So we wait. And it's just silent. I mean, it's more silent than anything in the world. And then, right across the field runs this wild hog. That's all it was. It was just one of our boys chasing after a wild hog, but you never know what's going to happen over there. I mean, at any moment, your whole world could change, and we get so wrapped up in the art that we forget we could get ourselves killed. Man, we were lucky. Being stateside again, you can't help but feel lucky. I find I think a lot about what we left behind. I mean, the imprint a war can leave on people, on a nation. And the canvas of this war has been painted by all those guys that serve and sacrifice for our freedom, or the freedom of a people a world away. And I thought I could paint in Vietnam before I went there, but I couldn't really. Because you can't paint the fear without the hope. And that's what I saw over there. I knew we needed to bring that home. There was this young soldier I sketched on a recovery mission. And I'll never forget how the heat felt like choking you, and the sound of the helicopters. Thump, 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 thump. You always hear those choppers. They're constant, unending. Thump, 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 thump. It's like to drive you mad. And there was this soldier lying on the floor of this helicopter, and he's in really bad shape. And at that moment, I'm thinking to myself, he's here for me. I mean, he's suffering for my sake. I mean, what the hell am I doing? I'm drawing, and he's out there fighting. But that's when I really understood the job I have to do. I mean, I have to help tell his story, all our soldiers' stories. And the stories of the Inky Knights, and the stories of the rescue teams that never give up because they can see the fight in a wounded soldier's eyes, and there is hope in that fight. And everything we do is about the men that are still over there. It always comes back to that. And walking across the base or sitting down to dinner, everything we do is in mind of those boys overseas. And what our work can give this country is more than just the images on the television screen. I mean, our art can speak to a deeper place in people's hearts. I mean, if you're going to learn from history and all, then you need to have a history to learn from, and that's what all these paintings can do. Help people understand what's going on over there a little more. And maybe it'll make a difference down the line if people here at home can see what it feels like to be over there. Even just a little. I should probably get going on this. I gotta have it finished by the end of the week. And my commanding officer won't look too highly on this piece not being ready, and well, I want to make sure I get my holiday leave. I hope I gave you something for your story. Have you talked to Johnson yet? Yeah, well, he'll talk your ear off, so be warned. But well, he's got some great stories to tell. Heck, they all do. Now, if you excuse me, I gotta get to work. I need some fresh water, and I've got to go a few buildings over to fill up. I mean, the space is great, but I don't think the Army really figured it for an artist studio. You can see yourselves out, right?
He was an awesome guy. I don't know what his exact role is, but he's a colonel. And